How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Edgar here, and when he finally decides to do another podcast episode, that means he's reached a new low point in his life. And without going into detail, let's just say I always say I've reached my absolute lowest point, but I have literally this time, if you can regard all the others as lies, this time I am actually at the lowest I've ever been. Like I said, not going into details, but just know I'm down so bad that I finally decided to do a podcast episode. Now, regarding what this episode's about, if you couldn't tell by the title, this is ranking every movie I've seen in 2020, a year in which cinema died. So instead of doing like a formal top 10 list, I'm just going to talk about everything off the top of my head and hope this goes well, because really, I wrote literally on a loose leaf piece of paper. I wrote in fucking blue colored pencil all the movies because I couldn't find anything to write with the ratings next to them. And I don't remember most of these, so I don't really have much to talk about. So I decided, and there's no movie news since movies are dying. Wow, right when I start my podcast, the heat decides to turn on. Great. Anyways, we're just going to do this all in one take, see how it goes. So I'm starting from the very worst I saw this year, and then at the end, we'll get to the very best that I saw this year. And yeah, just a quick disclaimer. I'm in Illinois. Movie theaters were open for like 3 months maybe. I only went twice to see 2 of these movies maybe, and that's it. So there's a lot more that came out that I just did not see, wasn't going to, because who the fuck would go to a theater during a pandemic? I only went because I have connects at the theater I went to know that it was completely empty. So it was just me and my dad once, and then me and my little sister another time. Anyways, let's get to it. So first movie on the list, there's going to be a lot of Netflix movies because of the fact that there's no theaters. Where the hell else are you going to watch movies? I did rent and buy very few, but other than that, just whatever got dumped on these streaming services is what I saw. So first up, we have Christmas on the Square. Now, this is the Dolly Parton musical, and I think this is the worst movie of the year because I couldn't make it 10 minutes into it. From the first song, it was the worst sounding song I'd ever heard. God bless Dolly Parton, but holy shit, that was just a bad song in every way, melodically, lyrically, how it sounded, just everything about it was so bad, and the music number would not fucking end, and it was such a terrible opening musical number, and then I realized it immediately leads into another musical number so that it would be nonstop singing. I did not want to deal with it, so I turned it off and gave it a 2 out of 10. And regarding the fact that a lot of these are stream movies, that means I'm way more willing to give up watching. I did walk out of theaters a lot when I worked at a theater, RIP. The Rona took my job, so I've been unemployed for a fat minute now. But because I got movies for free, I could just walk in and out whenever. I was way more willing to walk out of movies. And so the same energy applies here, where there's going to be some where I did not watch a lot of it. For all I know, maybe Christmas on the Square has the greatest third act ever put to cinema. I'll just never know it. Anyways, I think that should be all the disclaimers out of the way. So, that's the worst movie of the year. Not much to say. Only saw 10 minutes, but fuck, those were really bad 10 minutes. Number 2, another Netflix original Christmas movie. We have Christmas Chronicles 2, the sequel to the pretty alright Christmas Chronicles released a few years ago on Netflix with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. I had a decent time with it. Fucking sue me. But the second one, they decided to double down on being in the North Pole with the most horrifying looking CG elves. And they made them the huge focus of the sequel. And they made the kid from Deadpool 2, the bad kid from Deadpool 2, the bad kid here. It's so fucking unbearable. I also gave this one a 2 out of 10. It absolutely brought me no joy. I don't even know how to talk about why I don't like it. It's just so vile, offensive to the senses. It should be ashamed to even be on Netflix. Netflix's stocks should have dropped drastically. They should have apologized for putting movies so badly that they lower prices, but all they did was increase prices. So I only had Netflix for a month or two to try to watch every original that I missed out on for the past few years, and then immediately dipped. Up next, we have Call of the Wild. I didn't even remember this fucking came out in theaters this year, dude. The first 3 months, like from January to March, feels like a fucking lifetime ago. I really miss those days when the world was normal, just for a little while longer. And so, in retrospect, yeah, Call of the Wild's bad, but if I were to be like given a choice by God Himself saying, my son, you can fix all of this. You can go back in time to when things were normal and things will remain normal. All you have to do is sit through Call of the Wild in that movie theater that day you went. I'd actually consider it. That's how bad the world is right now. But this movie is almost as bad. Now, let me tell you, this is one I decided to catch while getting off a shift at work. And I think I made it, this one, 15, 20 minutes. It was very early I decided to give up because the CGI dog was just like, I don't want to watch this. And then just to know that Harrison Ford... Yeah, I don't even think I saw Harrison Ford in this movie. That's how early I gave up. But I just didn't want to see Harrison Ford. But, come here, doggo. Let's ride this sleigh. It's like, bro, I have better things to do. I think I even wrote in my Letterboxd review that the whole time I was just thinking, I have Roma waiting for me at home. I just got a confirmation saying that it came in the mail. Because this was right around the time that Roma dropped on the Criterion Collection. And I'd order it, and as my shift was ending, I saw the email saying that my order had been delivered. I was like, well, I could go home and watch Roma. So, yeah, 15, 20 minutes into this movie, I walked out, went home. I looked at my copy of Roma and went, do I really want to watch a heavy movie after a long day of work? I think I'll watch The Prince of Egypt. So I watched The Prince of Egypt and made me some drinks. And yeah, that's my review of Call of the Wild. Prince of Egypt is a masterpiece. Up next, we have That Feeling When No Girlfriend, or TFW No GF. So, I think what Amazon did through Prime, they released a lot of the South by Southwest movies for a limited time on there. Oh my god, this is so long ago. 2020 never fucking ends. We're so close to the finish line, but we're still going to be living like this in 2021. So, holy shit. Oh my god, I don't even remember. All I remember is really not liking this, and according to my Letterboxd review, it's because it has no focus, and I wrote that, like, usually I don't care the orientation, like, gender, whatever, about the director, but this was the one time where having a female director make a movie about, like, the doomer generation of, like, men on the internet who are just, like, fucking incel losers, shit like that. Like, I really think it would have been better done if a male director had tackled this situation. This is the one time, very few instances where I believe, but if you just see the final product, which was TFW No GF, you just see it really comes off unfocused and focuses on the wrong things. It's just not interesting at all. I think it completely missed the mark on trying to explore something that's quite interesting in theory, trying to figure out, follow a bunch of guys who are like this on the internet and just see how they are in real life. Didn't pan out well. That was a 3 out of 10. Okay, sorry, I just realized I didn't give ratings. So, Christmas on the Square, Christmas Chronicles 2, Call of the Wild, all 2 out of 10s. TFW No GF, 3 out of 10. Up next in our 3 out of 10, we have Capone. Now, this is a movie that was very quietly released. Or like, it's going straight to VOD because theaters are dead. And I knew next to nothing except Tom Hardy was in it. I'm like, okay, who cares? I didn't find out. So the movie was on sale for like $5, like to own, pretty shortly after it came out. So I decided, fuck it. That's less than a normal movie rental. I'll just buy it in case I like it. Turns out, God, what the fuck is his name? Josh Trank directed this. They completely hid that from all the marketing. I have no idea how this man still has work in Hollywood after losing out on a fucking Boba Fett movie for being the biggest asshole. Are you kidding me? Like, that's insane that he's still able to get work. What a fucking rat bastard. Anyways, this movie is further proof that he should not get work, as it is quite possibly the most boring movie made all year. It's not insulting, it's just extremely fucking boring. Now, this is actually the first one on the list I saw to full completion, and it just... it's not interesting. There's only one part where he loses his mind. It's like a dream sequence of sorts, and it's not that interesting. Nothing of it is interesting. I don't remember anything that happens. I just remember he like starts going on a murder rampage or something. Kills a lot of people in his home, and nobody wants to shoot him. They're just like, dude, calm down. I could fix this. And then that dude ends up being shot. I don't fucking know. Who gives a shit? Fuck this dumbass movie. And yeah, big waste of time. Up next, we have Scoob. This was dropped on HBO Max around the time it was supposed to come on theaters. Or was it? Or did it get released on VOD first? Yeah, that's what I think it was. Where it's like $20 to rent this movie, and then just shortly dropped on HBO Max after, so it didn't really matter. I tried watching on HBO Max, but I fell asleep about half an hour in, and it was just extremely boring. I hated the voices associated with all the characters. The writing was so unfunny, and the references were already outdated, and I can't imagine how outdated they're going to be once future people watch this later on in history. So, fuck that movie. 3 out of 10. Now, we're at the 4 out of... This is the only 4 out of 10. And I don't know how to say this, but I actually watched My Spy twice. On my own. Willingly. I don't know why I did that. No. I lied. First time I saw it on my own willingly. To completion. Second time, I wanted to show my little sister. Yes, that's what happened. I'm pretty sure. And... it just comes off as like a movie, let's be generous, 9 years too late. Because it totally reeks of like some executives at some studio, whoever the fuck made this one, saw the game plan whenever the fuck that came out. And they're like, a wrestler and a little girl have to riff off each other for a whole movie. And the game plan's pretty good, all things considered. I like that movie a lot. So I don't blame them for thinking wrestler and light-skinned black girl will make cha-ching. And the reason I specify is I don't know, like, if they genuinely thought that was the secret to trying to make this the next game plan. I think it's absurd. Like, why can't they cast dark-skinned black girls, in a lead role? The only time you see that is in like entirely black movies, either the cast or the crew, the director behind it, anything like that. I don't see this incessant need to just cast the light skins in every role. But the reason I think they did it here is to try to get the girl that closest looks like Madison Pettis did when she was 8. So I think it's fucking absurd that they went that far trying to find the next Madison Pettis to do this. Like, it feels like this movie could have been made 10 years ago, but probably got lost in like a post-production limbo where nobody knew how to edit it. They ran out of money or something. I don't know. But it just really comes off like that in terms of how it's made, and just everything about it reeks of that. But the film itself really isn't that bad. It's bad, but not as bad as it should be. Like, honestly, it's perfectly watchable. It's a 5 out of 10. But what brings it down to a 4 is the part where I was about to say John Cena. What the fuck is his name? Dave Bautista is on a date with the little girl's mom, and he starts dancing in the middle of this outdoor restaurant or outdoor dining area, whatever. And at one point he flosses. And then everybody's like, yeah, I want to dance now too. So then everybody starts dancing. It's quite possibly the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Secondhand embarrassment like that doesn't come that often. And let me tell you, that was fucking something else. That's the only scene in the movie that assures me, oh, this was made in like 2019. This definitely makes sense. But then again, it could have been made in 2018 and just stayed in limbo for years and released in 2020. I don't know. But holy shit. That alone brought it down to a 4. But it's actually perfectly watchable. It's kind of funny once in a while. And it does have just enough of the so bad it's good elements in there. Like, for example, the story takes place in Chicago. And from the B-roll, like the transitional shots they show, establishing shots, I should say, they show where the mom and girl live. It shows that they live like super west from downtown Chicago. But there's at least 3 different scenes where Dave Bautista and the little girl are running alongside Lake Michigan in a park. And I can't help but wonder, do they just drive like around 45 minutes to an hour through all that traffic to get into downtown just to run? Like, it's absurd. I don't even think trains go as far as what it shows them living in. I don't know. I don't get it. So I just, especially as a Chicagoan, I get a kick out of that. I want to make sense of the world building. All right, up next we have our first in the batch of 5 out of 10s, Hubie Halloween. This is one that they announced, and then only like a month or 2 later it dropped on Netflix. I was highly looking forward to this one, as Adam Sandler said, if I don't get nominated for Best Actor for Uncut Gems, I'm making the worst movie I can think of. And people saw the Happy Madison, they saw the Hubie Halloween, they heard Adam Sandler do his little voice, and they went, oh my god, we're getting the next contender for worst Adam Sandler movie. And I was excited. Unfortunately, it wasn't that bad. See, the thing about this movie is, it's not funny, but it doesn't have the mean-spirited nature that Happy Madison movies have. It's actually what makes it a 5 out of 10 is that it's so goddamn heartwarming, actually. Hubie might be one of the most purely good characters in all of cinema. Everything he does is in service to helping others, and not once does he ever break from that. It's so goddamn endearing. This is one of Adam Sandler's best characters by a long shot. He's just so fucking likable. Hold on. Oh. Uh-oh. Okay. I saw my laptop screen go dark. I went, please don't fucking tell me it stopped recording. Anyways, Hubie Halloween, like I said, it's not funny, but he's just so likable to watch that it balances out into 5 out of 10. So that's all I have to say about it. It's really, I really enjoyed watching it. Not that bad, honestly. Up next, we have Onward. This is a movie that falls much more in the I dislike more than I like. initially watching it, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Now, this is actually, I don't know if this or First Cow. I'm pretty sure it's First Cow. That was the last movie I ever saw in the theater before the world went to shit. But this might also be there. I'm not sure. Anyways, so I saw this in the Dolby Theater. I was geeked as fuck, my boy. I was so excited. Not because I was looking forward to the movie. It looked like shit. I was excited to hang out with my boy, Steven. Shout out, Steven. I said, hey, bro, do you want to watch Onward with me, bro? He's like, yeah, I'm totally down. I'm like, cool. And it's like, he texts me a few minutes later. He's like, all right, what seats do you want? I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, what seats do you want? I'm getting the seats. I'm like, dude, I work here. Just come to me. We'll pick out the seats together. I got. He's like, what? No way. I'm like, yeah, way, man. This is gonna be the best ever. Fucking bring whatever food you want. They're not gonna stop us. I work here. They pay me to do this. And so I was just so hyped, and I watched the movie, and it's such a piece of dog turd. I hate the characters. I hate everything about it. I hate the design. It's like fantasy, but set in like modern reality. It sucks. I get the point of it, saying, oh, the magic's gone, because of electricity. We don't use magic. But like, it just doesn't make sense. You can't translate that into a life lesson to the kids other than technology bad. No, technology is really fucking good. As much bad as it brings, the goodness will always outweigh the bad. I don't know. This is the most boomer fucking movie because it says magic is good, technology is bad. We don't have magic. What fucking magic is a kid gonna get from? It's like, oh, I shouldn't use a light switch. I should set something on fire so mother can pour the porridge at home. That's what I got from watching Onward. Like, fuck you. This movie's so dumb. Fuck you. I don't even know why it's a 5. Now I'm thinking about it. I hate it more like a 3. Whatever. This ranking shit's arbitrary. Cinema's dead. I don't even feel genuinely towards any of this ranking. I'm just listing off movies according to my rating of them on Letterboxd. There's probably some I watched that I didn't even remember to list here because I don't give a shit. Cinema is dead, and you know whose fault it is? Up next, perfect transition. In the number 5 out of 10 slot, we have Tenet. This movie single-handedly killed cinema in its desperate attempts to save it. Its selfish attempts to save it. Christopher Nolan is now the villain of cinema in my eyes. He tried so hard to make himself the champion. Oh, I am the last defense for movie theaters against the inevitable crush and defeat and destruction of them. Oh, I'm gonna do it. We have to release Tenet in theaters even as cases are getting worse, and they're only gonna get worse because we're not even in the fall yet. Oh. He released it, and it was a fucking failure of an experiment. He failed so bad. Every single movie that pushed itself back to like the back of 2020, they're like, never mind. I'm good. I think we could delay it a year longer. Or, I'm good. I'm HBO Max. Our movie Tenet was such a catastrophic failure. I think we're just gonna boost our HBO Max numbers up a bit. Count our losses and just drop every fucking 2021 movie on that bitch. Like, I've never seen a movie fail so hard in my life that it just further propelled the death of cinema so directly. That's so fucking funny. Like, I hope Christopher Nolan can sleep at night knowing he might be the biggest asshole in the world of cinema, at least. Like, he's actually the worst. I hate him so much. And I haven't even gotten to the movie itself. Yes, I went to theaters to see this because I'm like, well, this is the last line of defense, I guess. It was self-proclaimed, and the studio really believed, or Christopher Nolan has so much influence with the studio. He's like, you guys have to follow my lead. You gotta release this fucking thing. For some reason, like, okay, Nolan, you make us billions of dollars, we'll do it. This was such a dookie ass movie that actually was made worse seeing it in theaters. I saw with surround sound. I couldn't hear a goddamn thing they were saying. The mixing is actually, it hurts the movie experience. I know that the average person doesn't notice like little things like that, like, oh, the sound quality, this, that, oh, that looks out of focus, things like that. No, this was collectively, everyone said, I can't fucking hear shit. What the hell is going on? I only heard about half the movie. And I'm just like, okay, I'll pretend I care. And then what you could hear was dog shit. Christopher Nolan doesn't know how to write to save his fucking life. He makes too much exposition. The whole movie, all the dialogue is exposition. Nothing really happens. She's like, Robert Pattinson is telling the tall girl, he's like, yeah, this shit could just end existence as we know it in a split second. And he's like, everyone will die. She's like, even my son? He's like, yeah, your son. Let's make the stakes personal. Like, it's such a child's first movie. It tries to make itself seem so smart, but it's so stupid that that's what makes it confusing. It's not complex to understand that, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. It doesn't make sense. Not because Nolan thinks I guess he does think that he's smarter than you, but you're not supposed to agree with him. You're not supposed to say, oh, I was confused. I just got to watch it again because he's so brilliant. I know he left the details for me to figure out myself. Oh, this is a puzzle. No, you're not going to get it because it's fucking stupid. It doesn't make sense. None of it goddamn makes sense. Like, how is she able to breathe when she was in, going back in time, being on the boat with Russian Kenneth Branagh or whatever his last name is? Like, why wasn't he moving backwards? Why was some things moving back? It doesn't fucking none of it fucking movie makes sense. It's so poorly constructed, so bad in just about every way. I just like the music and kind of how it looked. So overall, balances to a 5. Now we're at the 6 out of 10 range. To all the boys, P.S. I still love you. Now, I did not watch the first one, so I did not have the emotional foresight of her relationship with Noah Centipede or something like that. I don't know who was in the first one from this movie, but I still nonetheless enjoyed it because it was one of the better looking chick flicks, quote unquote. I don't know how to describe it. These chick flicks, things are starting to look better nowadays. Even the most low end productions have learned how to use cameras, so even this movie looked good. And it was entertaining enough. I thought I enjoyed it. I had a pretty good time. It seemed very honest, very cute. And it's a good watch. I don't remember anything about it, but apparently I liked it enough to give it a 6 out of 10, so that's probably how I felt about it. Up next, another Netflix movie for the ladies. We have Enola Holmes. This is one that took me 2 tries to watch fully. I watched about the first half. Before turning it off, I realized I've never been so fucking annoyed and bored in my life. And what's funny is that I randomly decided to give it another chance, and it turns out that the second half is way better than the first half. So for all I know, Christmas on the Square could be a masterpiece. Oh no, don't go black on me again. Christmas Chronicles 2 could be a masterpiece. Call of the Wild could be the greatest movie ever made. I don't know. But for some reason, my gut told me to give Enola Holmes a chance, and we get a pretty enjoyable adventure movie. The action's nice and fun. It's small stake and simple. It's very fitting for what kind of story this is. I really like how it's made and how it develops over time. So that all the fun comes in the second half, I promise. You stick through that very bad first half, it'll reward you. Charm City Kings. Now we're at the 7 out of 10s. Charm City Kings is an HBO Max movie where they finally put Meek Mill in something. I always thought Meek Mill should be an actor. I'm very glad that at least the folks that made Charm City Kings realized that, because he was pretty good in this. He played his role well as the mentor to the kid. I don't remember anything once again. Basically, this movie was about a kid really wants to join the Philly. Were they Charm City Kings? Was that their name? Could be. Who the fuck knows? They basically just ride around in motorcycles and ATVs and do crimes and shit. They just really wanted to be a part of that. But at what cost? It's a really nice coming of age movie. I thought it was quite a engaging watch. Should have been way better than it was, but it could have been worse, and I think we nonetheless got an enjoyable film out of it. Meek Mill, easily the highlight. I love it. What's weird is that the main kid develops an accent in the second half of the movie, so I don't know if he was like hiding his accent in the first half and they just decided to give up and let it out in the second half. I don't know what happened, but it was really weird. Like, at times he almost came out borderline British. I can't nail what accent it is. It was so weird. Anyways, up next. Luckily, a majority of the movies I saw this year were just 7s. I was like, it's good. It's good. So at least it wasn't like it was a dog shit year for movies, but like, I don't know. It's just so like unsatisfying. I'd rather have an unsatisfying year for movies than an insulting year. Anyways, let's continue. So, Impractical Jokers. This was one I saw in theaters having never seen the show. And my theater was almost full. I had to sit in the 5th row. So I worked at one that had like a shit ton of rows. This was a massive theater, like massive. And I was in the 5th row in the first section. There's like 4 or 5 sections. It's literally like 3 stories tall. It was insane. Anyways, so just to get an idea of how packed Impractical Jokers was, I have no idea why it was so packed, but I'm like, it was probably one of the best movie experiences I've ever had, because that movie is so goddamn funny. And the only thing that can prove a funny movie is when a whole shit ton of people are laughing with you. And I never felt so comfortable laughing so goddamn hard in public in my life. Holy fucking shit. This is like, if you like could only watch one movie this year, I'd watch Impractical Jokers. It's just guaranteed to make you laugh and smile, and that's all we need. What can I say? It's Impractical Jokers. If you don't know what it is, it's just a bunch of old dudes tell each other what to do via like radio and shit, to tell them what to do, like just public stunts or just jokes. It's great. Love it. I hated, what really brings it down to a 7 is I hated the scripted stuff. The story actively got in the way. I don't know why they didn't just make a big budget episode of Impractical Jokers. Why didn't they just stick with that? Why do they have to try and force a story? I hated it. It was very Funny or Die-esque, and that's not a good thing. Anyways, up next in the 7 out of 10s, we have The Way Back, aka Ben Affleck is Desperate for an Oscar. This movie is quite good. It's about a alcoholic man who gets asked by his former school, I guess, that he went to coach the basketball team. And so he does, while struggling with alcoholism, and it is quite good. What brings it down to a 7 is unfortunately the ending feels so unsatisfying. It feels like they're missing a whole third act. Or like at least ideally it felt like it was missing like 20 minutes. I would have taken 10, but it just ended. It's such a weird place that it just soiled the whole experience, bringing it down to a 7. But Ben Affleck's really good in it. It's really enjoyable, fun for the whole family. Um, yeah, I mean it's exactly what you expect it to be. It's a sports movie, but not really. It's more of an alcoholism movie. You get what you get. And for the next movie we're going to be talking about, it's Bad Boys for Life. This came out in like January. So when cinema was super dead from March to August, I actually said Bad Boys for Life deserves the Oscar for Best Picture. It is one of the only 3 movies that came out this year, and it is the best. Yeah, I don't have these in ranking order. I just have it in groups by what I rated them. But Bad Boys for Life is definitely the best 7 out of 10 movie of the year. And honestly, it's better than most movies that are 8 or 9 or whatever. Because it's just so fun. I'd never seen any of the other ones. So once again, I didn't have any of the bias or nostalgia or anything. I just wanted a fun, good action movie, and that's exactly what you get here. Bad Boys for Life is so fun. It's weirdly super serious, and it stays like that for a while. You're like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming from this movie. It just comes out of nowhere. But then the movie gets batshit insane and turns into, I'm pretty sure Martin Lawrence says this verbatim at one point in the movie. He's like, oh, this is some telenovela shit. And it is in the best way possible. Like, what a fun place to take influence from for your American action movie. Like, I think it's such a fun idea, and I really liked it. It's super enjoyable. This is one of those movies that came out this year that I'd probably consider getting a 4K Blu-ray of it. It's an excellent time. Now, another excellent action movie is Extraction. This one, like I said, I didn't have Netflix earlier in the year. I only got it like a few months ago and only had it for a month or two. And this is one of the movies I decided to catch up on. Extraction is extremely well made. It just needs a stronger story. Even though the villains are never like comically bad, they're all grounded in reality and understandable. Like, these are the most real feeling action movie villains I've ever seen. And I really like that. I like that. For example, there's one part where the main baddie, if it were any other movie, he would have killed the person who fucked up their job. Just to show, oh, he's so tough. He takes no failures as an option. He only needs the best men that succeed. And it's done so many times over and over. And I just don't like it. Most of the time, it just comes off as obnoxious. Like, why would you kill off your own supply of men that you probably worked so hard to get, you know? In this movie, he just talks with it's a kid, too. He just talks to the kid. And then just makes him realize, like, I see you're committed, so why would I punish you? Just go do your fucking job. And that's literally the thing that took me by surprise the most. That and that like faux one take action sequence that goes on for like 20 minutes is utterly insane. It's faux, so it's not as impressive, but it's still really impressive. But it just should have been shorter. Like, just because it's a faux one, means they can go on as long as they want, doesn't mean you should go on. Like, you should understand why you're trying to go for this one take thing to make it immersive. But after a certain point, it just stopped being fun. I'm like, okay, dude, I get it. You can stop now. You're just showing off and it's annoying. But it's still really well done action. Well done villains. Can't complain. Good watch. Sonic the Hedgehog. This is one for a very long time, I believe, would win best visual effects. And I don't think any movie actually came out this year that really uses CG or VFX or stuff like that. So I'm seriously concerned. Throughout the whole year, I said this as a joke, but I'm seriously concerned that Sonic might be the only movie nominated for best visual effects. And it's probably going to win. I wouldn't even be mad at one. That'd be fucking hilarious. But it's just so sad that the state of cinema is so dire that not a single fucking movie came out this year that used CG the way this one did. Fun movie. Saw it twice in theaters. Oh, I just remembered. This is actually the last movie I saw before lockdown. So, AMC's, that's where I used to work at, all shut down. And by this point, my school had shut down literally the week before finals. So our finals basically got canceled. So I went home. This was March 18th. Let's just say around March 18th. I went home, back to the suburbs, and AMC's were shut down. So I was very curious. This was a time where we weren't really certain of how bad things were. So I went to the movies out of curiosity, the movie theater in the mall, which is not AMC. I was very curious to see how things are going, and I went, wait, what the fuck? They're still open? And I saw an old coworker of mine who used to work at AMC, now works at this theater, and he's just like, Edgar? I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? Why are you guys open? He's like, I don't know, man. We're just doing our own thing. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I think they already did the 50% capacity thing, or maybe not. God, holy shit, the old world is such a distant memory now. But all I remember is that things were starting to ramp up in seriousness. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. This is the last thing I'm going to do. I think movie theaters are going to die, so I'm going to get one last movie. And it was a Tuesday, so $5 Tuesday. I had to. My little sister and I go into the theater, and there's like a group of 3 or 4 dudes, like 2 rows above. And they really thought they were going to have the theater to themselves. I'm like, my bad. We had to crush their little party. But my little sister and I sat on the row with the railing, so we put our recliner chairs up, put our feet up, and we just watch a good movie. And by this point, it was my second time watching it, and it's just enjoyable the second time. It's as enjoyable as the first time. And yeah, it's a fun movie, so I think of it fondly because of the fact that it's the very last movie I saw in cinemas before the world went to shit. Because then after that, all the lockdowns started, things seemed dire, and then capitalist pigs went, oh no, but my money's. So businesses slowly started reopening in phases, and then eventually, all the way in August, theaters got to open, and then the pandemic was getting worse, but businesses still remained open, and then eventually indoor dining got banned again, but everything else is still open, so literally nobody's learning anything, even though at the time of this recording the vaccine is finally starting to be distributed to the elderly and healthcare workers. We're still just not learning anything. Holy fucking shit. Sonic's a good movie. Up next we have First Cow. This was a movie I watched in theaters with my boy Mikey, and I think I fell asleep for 20 minutes during the third act. I rarely fall asleep in theaters, but the only time I ever fell asleep, I think, was during Shoplifters, which is another movie I saw with my boy Mikey in theaters. Shout out Mikey for keeping me awake. But First Cow put me to sleep because it was such a vibe. It is such a calm, quiet movie. You just vibe to it. You put it on, you're just mesmerized. You're just sitting there looking at these simple shots of just some dudes making biscuits or whatever the fuck and vibing, and they get the milk from the first cow, and that first cow, she's so pretty, and she just sits there and vibes, goes, it's great. What a picture. What a picture. The first cow is a very nice viewing. I just don't know how to go viewing it at home. I don't actually know how to watch First Cow because it's such a weird movie in terms of how it's just so simple. It's such a vibe. Anyways, good movie. Emma, another movie I had been anticipating. This is a great, very fucking well-made movie. It is gorgeous to look at. Everything about it is top-notch. What makes it a 7 though is the first half is funny, but the story I could care less about. The second half is when the story gets good, but it stops being funny, so it's not as entertaining to watch. So it's just really off balance in how it presents itself. It just creates this weird flow to it that brings it down to a 7, but it's still nonetheless highly enjoyable. Another 7 out of 10. Borat subsequent movie film. They made this in secret. And it's really cool to see that, like, he had all these ideas, but they probably had to shift the entire thing as they saw the pandemic starting, and then just kind of film through it. It's really, really unique. And very much a good time to make a movie in the Borat cinematic universe, as the original one showed Bush's America, and he had to, like, actively work to get them to say outlandish things. But we live in a time where everyone snitches on themselves, so he didn't even have to try to get these people to say really fucked up shit. They just would do it on their own anyways. And it's just really, like, emblematic of 2020. I think this is the most 2020 movie of them all. Highly enjoyable. I still prefer the first one. It's way funnier, but this one has a better story, better flow. So I like both. I think this is a worthy sequel. Shout out Borat. Another 7. This is the final 7 out of 10 on my list here. We have Birds of Prey. I saw an early screening of this in IMAX because a friend of a friend was doing an internship, like, marketing movies, and I believe she, like, somehow worked for Warner Brothers, because I remember she did an early screening of Jojo Rabbit I wasn't invited to, but she felt bad, so I got invited to this one. And it's just, it's fun. It should be way better than it is, but I'm very glad with what we got. I enjoyed Birds of Prey. I love the attitude of it, the tone. I think it's great. It feels very comic booky without being comic book. You know what I mean? Like the original Spider-Man or Kick-Ass. Like, those are comic booky in the sense that they're trying to be like comic books. But Birds of Prey just has the attitude of being comic booky. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be a film. It feels like it's just zany, doing its own shit, doesn't care. But the final action sequence is insanely underwhelming and so poorly directed that it brings down a lot of the experience for me. But I enjoy it. I really enjoy all the characters for the most part. Mary Elizabeth Winstead didn't get enough time to shine, in my opinion. That also brought the movie down. The main girl, I forgot, Cassandra Cage? Or am I thinking of Mortal Kombat? Well, what the fuck was her name? The main teenage girl who stole the diamond. She was awful. She cannot act to save her life. Lord forgive me, but holy shit, who the hell thought that was a good idea? So all of that brings the movie down to 7, but it's still insanely enjoyable. Loved it. Haven't seen it since though. Now we're at the 8 out of 10s. There's a handful of them here. First up, we have Dick Johnson is Dead, the Kirsten Johnson film. She made Camera Person, which is one of the all-time great documentaries, as it's basically an introspect on her career up to that point, but framing it through the lens of just mothers specifically and womanhood, as she was losing her mom to dementia, or was it Alzheimer's? Forgive me, I don't remember, but it was a very beautiful movie, and one of my favorite shots of all time is in it, where she's just filming for one of her documentaries, a field and a road or something, but she sneezes, so the camera moves with her sneeze, and that's where the title card comes up. So it's just like the most introspective anti-documentary because we see a lot of B-roll of the documentary she had worked on for like the past 20 years, and you just see the process of making him. And it's really cool how it serves as a behind the scenes, but also being the real deal, but also like telling a story of her own about mothers, because there's that one story with the boxer, and he loses a match, and she's following him with the camera, and he's like angry, doesn't want to talk to him, but the first thing he does is cries in his mother's arms. It's such a fucking beautiful moment. So anyways, because of all that, I was very excited for this Netflix original that she was doing. That's now about her dad. So her dad's old, aging, approaching death. So this is a movie about her dad and trying to get to know him and how he perceives death, what he thinks of it, shit like that. But then also doing like a bunch of like stylized enactments. They're not reenactments because he hasn't died, but a bunch of different enactments of him dying, like a TV falling on him or something like that, like just a car crash. Well, it's really weird. I really like this movie. I think it's so unique. I don't even know what to make of it. It's just a really good watch. Highly recommend it. Possessor, David Cronenberg. What's his son's name? The Cronenberg's kid. He made his second feature, Possessor. This is one that all the film kids were looking forward to, as the trailer dropped earlier this year. And it finally came out. I found out 2 months later that it came out because I saw it on sale, and I'm like, fuck it. $10 to own, $6 to rent. I'm just going to own it. I hope I like it. So I bought it, the uncut version, I should specify. And it is a really interesting, good watch. I think story-wise, it's very weak, but I think the lack of story makes it all more ambiguous and interesting, and the violence is just so grotesque, and like there's this one sex scene that's so weird. I have never seen anything like it. And it's probably the highlight of the movie that really is emblematic of what it's going for, more so than story. And it's just really cool sci-fi shit. It feels like something that would have been made a decade ago, but in a good way, where it just tries to do something new. Really like it. Another 8 out of 10, Mank. This was David Fincher's latest, but from a script from his late father. And it's about Mank, the writer for Citizen Kane. And Mank is just such a fucking likable dude. Gary Oldman, man, if he doesn't get the Oscar for Best Actor for this one, I don't know. He's so fucking good. And the script is really tight in terms of dialogue and stuff. It's excellent. Probably the best dialogue I've heard all year. but story structure, it's really weird and it's off-putting to a lot of people, and even did for me at times. So it doesn't feel like it has a natural conclusion because of it. It just feels like it ends. So it brings it down to an 8, but still highly enjoyable. More specifically, if you like movie history and if you appreciate the fact that it really goes out of its way to try to look like an old movie through its audio mixing and the way it's shot, even though it's like pretty widescreen, it still has that look. It feels, especially with the lighting and the glow, making a whole movie go around the idea. It's just insane. Like, for example, there's one scene where one of the guys goes to the other's house for Christmas, and they were talking in the Q&A because I got to talk to the directors after, or director and writers of this movie. It was the two leads, and they were just talking about like location scouting for a house that could do what they were trying to do was so hard because it's insane. They start basically shooting the guy in his car, and they back the camera out as he's going inside, and the camera stays outside following the guy through the windows. And then I don't even remember how, but like, I guess he gets sent to take trash out, so as he's coming back in, that's the camera's way to get inside the house. Like, it's so meticulously, flawlessly made. The way it's directed, blocked, shot, the writing, the acting, like, it's unreal how good that fucking movie is. It is seriously up there, one of the all-time greats. It is, without a doubt, the best movie of any year came out. I don't give a fuck. 2019 was actually a really fucking good year. So even though it first debuted in 2019, it's not the best of 2019. But 2020, you bet your sweet fucking bit. Yeah, I'm probably like one of the few people in the world who saw in 2020. So I barely count as a 2020 movie. But it hasn't come out, and I need to sing my praises for it. So here I am, officially declaring it the best movie 2020 had to offer, and that's it, everyone. What a dog shit year. I wasn't passionate about any of these movies except maybe for a handful. Bad Boys for Life, very fun. The Climb, I don't know if you'll ever be able to see it, but sucks to be you if you don't get to see it, because I saw it's fucking great. I got to talk to the director and writers after too. David Copperfield, you need to watch it. It's just that fucking good and lovely. Yeah, so I don't have anything else to say. Normally I live stream these, but I just did not feel like live streaming this one for some reason. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I completely forgot that I live streamed these. I would have done it if I remembered, but oh fucking well. So, I don't even know what visuals I'm going to put to accompany this. I don't know if I have to record gameplay or something. Fuck. Oh well. That's something for future me to deal with. Thank you so much for listening. Happy holidays, I guess. It's been a rough year. I know we all been going through our own things to certain extents, you know. A lot of us lost their jobs, but fortunately, seems like a lot of people were able to seamlessly transition their jobs into going digital, and they're fine. But nonetheless, it's still been hard on everyone, just being stuck at home, trying to do their best to keep everyone else safe, and having to see a huge group of the world not care and still do as they please without caring about the consequences of doing so. So even just on that basic level, I think we can all share a unified pain. And then you just start thinking of all the other levels things that people are going through, like people with depression being forced to just stay inside for months on end and not be able to go out and do anything or see anyone, or people with like pre-existing medical conditions who literally cannot go outside or else they could die. So just the constant fear of, and if you live with others and have that, the fear of if they go outside and they bring the disease home with them, like, there's just so much, there's a lot going on in the world, and I feel for every single level. Like, my point, I guess, with all this is that even though a lot of people might have it worse than you do, just be kind, because I know everyone understands. Like, we're all going through a pain at least. So just be kind. Do your part. Just keep doing what we've been doing. Just staying indoors. Just try to reach out to people. Just make sure those that you care about are doing okay. Just keep on going. The finish line is right here. The vaccines are being made. We'll be out of this hopefully soon enough. I think the finish line being in sight is really reassuring, and should be motivation for you to just stick through and keep on keeping on. Just hang in there, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Soon enough, I'll be back in, just sitting in a restaurant without a mask, just eating and hearing other people around. And normally, maybe you always hated being around large groups of people, but you'll think back to the last year of your life, and you may start to appreciate the presence of others and realize maybe we all really do need each other in some weird way. Not directly, but, maybe you're going to a Taco Bell at 1 a.m., drunk as hell, and you're just seeing other people there who also seem drunk as hell, and just that shared experience that everyone's living their lives. Things are, in my hypothetical future, now back to normal, and things are going to be all right. We'll just keep on keeping on. We'll be able to go outside, do things again, see family, see friends. I think there's something beautiful in the way that we all need each other without even realizing it. So, though we can't be there for each other physically right now, just like I said, we're so close to the end. So just check in on everyone you care about. Make sure they're okay. Make sure you're okay. This has been really hard for some more than others, but just be there for one another, alright? Sorry for getting so emotional in the end here, but we're at the finish line, so may as well just make the reminder. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.